welcome back to another episode of the Strength and Speed Podcast. I'm your host, Strength and Speed owner and Mudgear Battle of the Lions pro, Evan Preparis. Got a bunch of guests with me on the line. Before we get to that, though, a quick word from this episode's sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Yolked. Yolked is a nutritional product you're supposed to take with proteins. They call it Protein's Perfect Partner. It's fertilized egg yolk, and you can take it, up to 3 times a day. Actually, you can take it more if you really want to, but 1 to 3 times is kind of like the recommended dose. Tastes really good. And it's supposed to, based off clinical trials, increase muscle growth 3 times the amount. So great product, tastes great. They've been at Savage Race at a whole bunch of events. They've been a kind of a supporter of Strength and Speed / friends of Strength and Speed since 2018. So great product. Check them out. And if you're looking for some stocking stuffers, not a bad option because they come in these like tiny packets, or you can buy it in like a jug. All right, let's get to today's episode. I got a couple of guests with me on the line. I'm going to introduce a couple of them. So I got Brenna back for another episode.
Hello.
Yeah. I got AC Hale, one of Strength and Speed.
Hey, Evan. Hey, everybody else.
Right on. And then I got the Ohio Beard, Phil Huckey, my teammate from Toughest Mudder this past year, and several-time American Ninja Warrior. Phil's figuring out how to work his Zoom.
Sorry, I was on mute. Happy to be here.
Right on. All right, so kind of a different format for today's episode. I just wanted to touch base with people. It is the end of 2022. We're about to start 2023. So that means a couple of things. One, Strength and Speed Development Team applications are now open. So if you want to join our private Strength and Speed Facebook group, we purposely keep it small. We've been adding like 5 to 10 people every year. So we're up to about 75 or so people, which is kind of getting large, but still filled with a lot of people with personal trainer certifications. It's filled with we got a nutritionist in there, Luke Labonte. We've got 2 physical therapists, William Shell, the owner of Mythic Race, and we've also got Kelly Williams, who's also the official physical therapist of Mudgear Battle of the Lions Pro Team. So basically, it's a private group. You can ask questions and get answers from legitimate professionals, and you'll see when someone asks a question, like we're generally all on the same page. So you're getting good advice as opposed to if you post in one of the random Facebook groups, fan OCR groups that has, 3,000 people, you're going to get a third of the answers that are okay, a third of the answers good, and a third of the answers that are just like complete garbage. So highly recommend you apply if you enjoy this podcast, if you're a regular listener. Like I said, we'll take about 5 to 10 people a year, and then you get some free perks. So people get 2 free products from the Strength and Speed store. So whether it be books or clothes, or depending on my stock, I may also do bleg mitts. So really good opportunity. And then it opens up for opportunities for free race entries. I gave away over $1,000 in free race entries in 2022. And I just got a couple $100 more for some kind of doing some other media work for the team. So great opportunities there. But today's episode, again, like I said, is the end of 2022, so we want to talk about goals for 2023. And I don't like New Year's resolutions. I think they're kind of stupid. That being said, though, people always kind of make goals typically at the end of the year. So we are going to go over goals for 2023. I don't like to call them New Year's resolutions. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And we also had Ryan Artigo jump on the line, recent third-place finisher at Toughest Mudder, Indiana. So Ryan, say hi when you get a chance.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me on, Evan.
Yeah. So since we jumped over to Ryan first, let's Ryan, tell me about kind of like how 2022 went briefly, kind of what goals you hit and what goals you missed, and kind of what your plan is for 2023. And hopefully our listeners, after listening to all the guys and girls on our podcast today, can get some ideas for their own goals for 2023.
Yeah, so in 22, actually only did 3 races. I would have liked to have done a lot more, but life gets in the way. But I did get to focus on the endurance stuff. So I did both toughest events and then finish it up with Worlds. Didn't achieve my goals at toughest. I did want to get that elite contender status and get those 9 laps in it, but unfortunately I got 8 at both of them, and did get on the podium there at Indiana. And then once we got the WTM, did get 14th place, 85 miles. Of course, 90 was that barrier I would have liked to have gotten over, but considering the conditions and all, I was definitely pleased with that. So Unfortunately, though, I was only fifth in our age group, Evan, given the depth we have there, which I know we've talked about before. So I was impressive there.
Yeah, I mean the age group competition at World's Toughest was brutal this year. The 40 to 44 was 100 miles for first for age group, 90 for second, and 85 for third. And then
yeah, three of us had 85 there, third, fourth.
Did you really?
But they all obviously did it a lot quicker than I did. So, but yeah, no, all three races were great. I mean, obviously great time out there. All of them great courses. Had a blast. Community was awesome. Yeah. And my focus for next year will be, again, those three events, and then hopefully the calendar will work out and I can try to sneak in some of those infinities, at least one or two of them. Then some other stuff I'm looking at, probably more in the ultra scene, trail scene. So
gotcha. Yeah, I mean you're right on the edge. You're right on the cusp there, right? Like you're, just on podium, or well, you got on podium this year, but normally you're like just off podium, like hitting that fourth, fifth place, and top 10 or just out of top 10 for the Worlds level. So this year's competition was so deep at Worlds, it was insane. So what are you changing or what are you adjusting in 2023 to try to make those goals a reality?
It's got to be time on feet. I mean, okay. I knew that going into this past year, and unfortunately, just trying to get the long runs in, didn't get as many in as I would have liked to have. But definitely hoping to get more of those real long runs, the time on feet. I mean, when I look at all those guys who, yourself and everyone else who finished ahead, yeah, I know I can't spend all weekend playing in the mountains like some of them do, but
yeah,
I know, so, but I know the getting that time on feet and getting some more of those long runs, it's definitely where I could definitely, achieve those goals I'm looking for there. Can always improve on the obstacles, but in all honesty, that didn't hurt me in how I did in these races.
Yeah,
it made me feel good in the latter parts of WTM when I'm, failing them right alongside your Trevors and your Marks and, and all the big names out there. So I'm like, all right, I'm on the same page as those guys. I don't feel that bad now, but so it's definitely being able to get the time on feet so I can, run further. I tell people like, how do you run 85 miles? Like, well, you really run 50 or 60, whatever, and then you power hiking the rest of it. So if I can extend that running time a little bit more, and then walk it all in at the end.
Yeah, I've been trying to crack that egg for a while, and whether I run a lot or run a little or mix up walking in the middle, I tend to my body seems to top out at 90. So that was the fourth time I hit 90, and running is the right answer. Especially this year, if anyone read my mud gear article comparing this year's World's Toughest Mudder to previous World's Toughest Mudders, the penalties this year were not bad, which is why, in my opinion, you saw the men's mileage essentially stay about the same, but the women's mileage jumped up. Not taking anything away from Chris, obviously a phenomenal athlete, record-setting performance, clearly amazing, absolutely. But if you look at the top three women, they would have won. With those mileage marks, they would have won. I think the article has the actual number. I think it's like 7 out of the 11 or 10 years or something like that. So head over and read that Mud Gear article. It's a good breakdown of comparing this year's World's Toughest to the other. So I'm going to jump over to Phil, who's my teammate at Toughest. How did this year go? What do you got going for next year?
Yeah, this past year went pretty well for me. We got a local trail race scene that I'm usually keep up with pretty well. I did Ohio Savage this year, and I was hoping to do better than I did. That one actually kind of got away from me a little bit there. I did not finish near as high as I was kind of hoping / expecting to. But that's okay. That's kind of a perennial favorite for me, and I'll definitely be hitting that one again. This upcoming year, I've got a personal milestone of I'm turning 40 in May, and I've been telling myself for years, I'm going to run 40 miles on my 40th birthday. And now that I'm actually staring that down, like, well, okay, yeah, I'm going to actually do that. And I need to do my training. And yeah, like Ryan was saying, get the time on my feet. We got our miles in there at Toughest, Indiana, and I'm kind of running the numbers in my head like, well, if I only, we did, 36 miles or whatever, like, okay, so yeah, I could squeeze out 4 more miles in there and not have too much trouble. But we'll see how that goes. My June is very stacked. We've got a Spartan trifecta weekend at Perfect North in Indiana. That's about a half hour away from me, so I'm signed on for getting a trifecta weekend in there. Savage Race is also in June, and then Warex has moved into the weekend spot that was vacated by. Unfortunately, we lost Indian Mud Run this year.
Yeah.
But Warex is picking up that weekend. So yeah, but between I may do the Flying Pig Marathon the first weekend in May. We'll see how that works with my training to try to get in my 40 miles in mid-May, and then right into 3 big races in June. So I'm going to be pretty stacked there through spring and early summer. And then I'll have a little bit of a break, spend some time with the family on, kids will be on summer break. And then I am signed up to do toughest in Pittsburgh this year, and currently signed up individual. If there's one of those last minute team get-togethers again, why not? But working really hard to get one of my training buddies to run that with me. He's not done one of the overnight races yet, and we'll see how we do with that. If I can get the time on my feet in training and build everything from spring through summer and keep up with that, who knows? Maybe I'll get my own personal podium at a national series there if I can dare to dream that high.
Yeah, love it. I know you've been on Ninja Warrior a couple times before, and you've got very good obstacle proficiency. Did you apply this year?
I did not apply this year. I decided I really wanted to focus on the running game this year. The ninja training stuff, that was, it was certainly awesome, certainly fun. It's obviously a different discipline, and just kind of my focus has shifted a little bit into the running game a little bit more. So I just kind of, as I'm turning 40, I'm focused on getting my 40 miles in on my birthday. And, the training that's going to go into that it's going to preclude a lot of the higher end training that I'd want to do to compete, at a higher level for Ninja Warrior. So, I put that off for another year, and may revisit that one next year.
Gotcha. Now, how far are you from Cincinnati?
I'm same county. I'm like 20 minutes from downtown. So
there's I'm not sure if they still do it. There is a race in Cincinnati where you dress as a gorilla and I think run through the Cincinnati Zoo. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, it's and believe it or not, I actually have a gorilla suit, but for whatever reason, my schedule has not met up with that. I'm not sure if they're having that one this year, but yeah, I've heard of it. I've seen the pictures. It's that's right in my wheelhouse, since I'm always doing the beard colors, or wearing something goofy for a race, or just being weird that way. Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, that used to be on my bucket list. That was before I got involved in OCR. When I was doing a lot of road racing, I was like, I gotta do the gorilla race. And it was during a brief obsession with Planet of the Apes, where I rewatched like all the Planet of the Apes movies and started diving into the timeline.
Yeah, and having my own gorilla suit, I could tell you that thing is not going to be fun to run in if I ever do that race, because it is a thick, full body fur coat, and if if it's like above freezing, that thing it's a sauna in there, and it's just like, oh my goodness.
All right, we're gonna jump over to Brenna and share how 2022 went, and then plans for 2023. Go for it.
Well, I'm giggling because I just forget, Evan, how much, and I know many others, like, I don't want to say nerd, but like your comics and your Comic-Con, I forget how much into that
You're
stuff
missing
you are.
out. You're missing out. It's so good.
No, I love it because you dress up all the time too. It's amazing, and not just because of the kids. Like, you do that on your own.
No, the kids are just giving me an excuse where I can go out in public and it seems like somewhat normal.
Be okay.
It's like, yeah, I'm totally dressed up for the kids, and my kid's wearing like his raincoat, which has like dragon wings, and I've got like a full vampire killer costume on with like whips and severed heads and like a Knights Templar shirt. Yeah, go ahead.
I know.
Real quick interruption. So me and Bobby Ross applied to talk at Comic-Con Kansas City this year and show our Ultra OCR Man documentary. So we'll see.
Really?
Yeah, we'll see
Like
if it
this
pans
as
out.
in,
I don't know.
as in 2023 coming up, right?
Yeah, 2023. So I don't know if we'll get picked up. So it's kind of like the theme is like, kind of like not like being a quote unquote real life superhero, right? Like most people think running the distances that a lot of us on this podcast run and some of our people listen to makes you like superhuman, makes you insane, right? So that's kind of the theme and talking about goal setting and then obviously showing the documentary and stuff like that. So we'll see. They do a lot of panels. It's not like it's not like, oh, I get my own booth. There's like these rooms in the Kansas City Comic-Con Center. And they have like, I don't know how many panels, but there's a whole bunch. So we'll see if it gets picked.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool! That's awesome. Well, you got to get that because one more thing to just kind of check off and add to the list.
And I get into Comic-Con for free. No big deal. Go ahead, Brenna.
There you go. Anyways, I feel like I have a very different story of the previous two gentlemen, 2022. And I don't know if there's any other ladies right now on the podcast, but no, I actually haven't raced in over a year. I did go to the Greenbury games this year and like built and kind of ran for fun. But that was about the only physical activity on a race schedule that I've done, which is the first time in 8 years that I can say that. And it felt great, but I've also missed everything about racing tremendously. Competition, traveling, friends, people, like just the mentality, you name it. My 2022 consisted of, I got married, which we've talked about previously. If you listen to the like Christmas kind of episode with sponsors and gift ideas, if you follow me, then obviously, I got married about 3 months ago. And I actually, like, as of this week, I've decided I'm starting to officially sell my chicken eggs because I'm obsessed and I finally got to like a good number and nothing's, I don't even want to say it. Well, I did lose a duck recently. So anyways, I've got like 7 eggs a day. And I just laid fresh eggs. It's my chicken company that I just came up with. Anywho, so that's my one goal of 2023, unrace related, is I'm gonna like sell my farm fresh eggs. But I feel like I'm starting out like a newbie almost again. Next year will mark 9 years for me in OCR. And I'm determined to get back to it in all the ways. I don't know necessarily if I'll be building per se. If I do, it'd probably be with Mark Ballas for any of his events that he does. I don't have any other obligations to build. But yeah, I want to do a variety. I kind of want to go back to my roots of just trying a little of this, a little of that. I'm determined. I'm going to do a high rocks. I met and have made a new friend acquaintance on social media, and like she's going to High Rocks Dallas, and so I plan to go to that one and kind of meet her in person officially. But in that respect, I want to go back to trying really hard and focusing on trying to get others back into the sport, if that makes sense. Like back to the beginning of OCR for me was just sharing it with others and having fun with it. So yes, I want to get back to competing in 2023. Yes, I want to get back to focusing on my training and all of that and seeing all you guys at races. And, I'll still be racing elite when I sign up. I don't have an official race planned yet, but my goal is to go. I'd like to focus on the Savage series, even though I'm kind of just, I don't know, everything's changing, it feels like. So
it's the only constant OCR is change.
Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like next year every series is different. Everything's different. Savage Point Series has changed. They're not paying out all the races. They're just paying out the point series. So it's like all the competition will be focused on those events, which I mean is great. It brings all the competition together, but then also it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. I have mixed feelings on that, but so I want to focus on Savage. I want to go to High Rocks because of my strength-based things. I don't know how I'll feel about running. I've just got some health things. Hey, I'm getting older. I've been doing this for 9 years. I might be, other than you, Evan, the veteran in the group for longevity of doing this. So yeah, 2023 is about kind of like restart, refresh, back to, I want to get some newbies into it. And I'm just going to focus on me, if that makes sense. I don't have a team. I honestly don't have like crazy sponsors right now. Like I've started a new side hustle, side business. So yeah,
I think
kind of starting over. So
I think that's good. I mean, you took a yeah, we used to race a ton, right? So you took some time off, and I think that's good to kind of reprioritize and figure out if you still want to be involved. And then if you do, obviously you found some other avenues that can get you back involved in OCR, maybe not in the same exact capacity, but
well, and
some
I
good
feel
goals
like
there.
a lot of the girls that started with me, they all took a break, and I mean, I'll just say a lot of them took a break, had a kid, and then came back and rocked as like this whole badass mom was, their like new thing. But my focus, I don't have a kid. That's just another different story. But I'm just focusing on me and the sport again, kind of thing. Like because I feel like so much has changed. I want to refocus back on what I loved about it, and maybe try and get it back to other people focusing on that stuff too. So we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah. So we're gonna jump over to AC Hal. And we just also had Jamie Simmons from KCOCR join us on the podcast. So we'll be jumping over to her too afterwards.
How's it going, Evan?
Good. How did 2022 roll out for you, and what are we looking at for 2023?
2022 went really well for me. I think I ended up with 5 age group podiums, which for me is the most I've ever gotten in a year, I think. One of those was at a half marathon, and I've never ran a half marathon competitively before. So I got first in my age group in that one. It had nice technical terrain, and it was the week before Vermont at OCRWC, so it was a good training run also. But anyway, so that shook out really well as far as I also traveled a lot. The last couple of years, I've been traveling to a lot of races out of state, and part of that's because there's just less and less here in Texas. With Conquer the Gauntlet going down to just one. Really, the biggest thing in 2022 that I experienced is kind of more mental. I just had more fun racing. I had more fun traveling and experiencing the race and relaxing. I used to put a lot of pressure on myself to, all right, I got to try to get an age group podium. I got to try to, and it made race anxiety real bad. And, like pre-race anxiety. But it just wasn't as fun. And so, but I've also put in way more work, especially during the summertime, leading into which definitely helped in the later half of the season. And so, but it was a good year. Got to always try to race in different states. So this year, a friend of mine and I went to Savage, Georgia, and in Missouri, I went to Mythic Race. Mythic Race was the first time I ever raced in Missouri.
Yeah. So, side note, they just announced a date change due to the venue, so it is now April 14th weekend.
Yeah, I'd already signed up for Mythic and paid up, and then Shell sent that out, and I was wanting to do the Fit Challenge, which is in Rhode Island.
Same weekend.
Yeah, and it's their last one. So I have to make a decision on, which one am I going to do? And sadly, I'm probably going to go to Fit Challenge because it is their last one. It'll be my last chance to ever get to do that one, and I haven't. And so I'm going to have to miss Mythic.
Well, I think I'm going to make the opposite decision. I will say mostly just because I missed Mythic Race last year, and I really want to support Will and his brand. Because there's especially those smaller races. If we don't show up consistently to the smaller brands, they essentially won't be around anymore. So yeah. If
there's a way I can make them both in the same weekend, I'd do it.
So I think so Will's race is 2 days, but I think the timing would not work out. I don't know if you could catch a flight in time.
Right. That is something I'm going to look into though. But so there's going to be some more traveling coming up. 2023. I'm going to try to go to Frontline, War-X, Barbarian Challenge in Alabama, Fit Challenge once again, Conquer the Gauntlet always. So those are going to be my main OCR. And then my big goal, kind of the big goal for the end of the year, next year, is to do Grit Ultra. And if you remember, Grit Ultra was the one that Gary Shaw did this last New Year. I went down and paced and crewed for him. It's a last man standing race. It's 24 hours, a 4.1 mile loop. You have an hour to make the loop and get back to the starting line, because on the next hour, the next loop takes off. And so you basically got to run 100 miles in 24 hours in order to stay in it. And to date, the only two people that have ever finished it, even finished it, are Gary Shaw and Christopher Glosky.
Oh, nice.
So I'm hoping in a year of training I can maybe be like the next one. So with that, my goal is this year I'm kind of focusing more on the processes rather than the actual end result. Yeah. So I want to get my base mileage up to 45 miles a week. I usually struggle to make it past 25 miles per week. So for me to jump it up 20 miles a week is going to be a big push. But I want to get 45 miles a week on a regular basis. I want to get my 10K time down to 50 minutes. And I do bouldering at a local climbing gym. And I want to get some V5 and V6 routes under my belt. And I know that accomplishing all of those will translate on race day. Better grip, 10K time coming down will help will involve higher VO2 max and better speed. And then just having a higher base mileage is going to, it's going to help my running all the way around. So,
interestingly enough, as far as like, if we did a race right now, I think the other people on the podcast would beat you, but you have the best approach for tackling goals in 2023. I think that's very interesting because, the whole goals are like, they got to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and you got to have a time related to them, right? So the SMART acronym, if anyone's familiar with that. And like you were saying, your goals are it's based on the process, right? Because I can't control who shows up on race day. And right. I can't. So yeah, I agree with a lot of the things you were saying. When you really focus on results, you do get a lot more pre-race anxiety. If anyone wants some tips for dealing with that, pick up my latest book on endurance, available on the Strength and Speed or Amazon and digital. But yeah, if you really focus on results, I found that when I am focused on process and just kind of doing my personal kind of best, the results just come. So when I've done really well at Conquer the Gauntlet, my goal was simply get through every obstacle on first try and maintain a decent pace, right? And I was like, whatever place I end up, that's what place I end up. And, I ended up, a lot of those races, I ended up on the podium just because I got through on first try and I was maintaining a decent pace and I was less worried about what other people were doing and more worried about myself. So I think you got some really good plans and goals laid out for yourself and, focusing, as we were talking about with Ryan and Phil, getting a lot of that time on feet really, really does wonders. A couple years ago, Boston Marathon posted finishing times and overlaid it with a chart of what people's weekly mileage was. And perhaps not surprisingly, the faster finishing times on average had higher weekly mileage, right? Like right. When you do endurance training, your body physiologically changes. You get more capillaries in your legs, more mitochondria in your cells, right? Your stroke volume of your heart gets bigger. Your ventricle physically gets bigger. Your body gets better at extracting oxygen from the blood. So all these physiological changes happen as a result of endurance training, and it translates to faster speed and better endurance. So
and that's the plan, because you're right. Pretty much anybody on here would beat me, which I'm used to that, so that's okay.
Although your team did well, you came in third. Strength and Speed came in third at Conquer the Gold team race. Was it third or fourth?
I believe we came in third, and we poached a Mudgear Battle Alliance Pro Team member who really helped out with the group and the obstacles. But yeah, that was a blast. It was a blast getting to run. I mean, you get to run with your three other best friends, and we had a good time with it. Hopefully we can do it again next year.
You guys did a great job representing Strength and Speed.
Thank you.
I wasn't on the strength and speed team. My feelings aren't hurt. It's okay. I ended up forming a team with Kendall and Logan Dinsmore.
Yeah.
So yeah, we came in second. We lost first right at the end there. But all right, Jamie Simmons from KCOCR just jumped on the line, who is my second house. I'm staying with her again this coming weekend. So when I'm in Kansas City, I stay at her place.
Yeah, no, we love you. Everything's set. I just went downstairs, made sure, the kids had cleared all their stuff out of the room and the bathroom wasn't trashed. So you're, good to go.
You saved me thousands of dollars in hotel bills this year, so I appreciate it.
Well, you gave me some bleg mitts, so we're almost even.
Speaking of bleg mitts, lights are small, medium, and large available in our online store, and extremes I just have smalls left. Supposed to get a reorder in January. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I gotta say, like, the bleg mitts are awesome just for winter running, not even for necessarily OCR, but when I'm out running in the winter, they're awesome. Like, especially the lights, they're perfect.
Yes, lights. I recommend lights for that. Absolutely.
Yeah. But they're great because they keep my hands warm and then I can kind of flip them back when I, warm up when I really get going. So yeah, 2022 was kind of a different year for me because I did a bunch of stuff in 2021 and, I've got 3 kids and I run a couple businesses. So I had told my husband, I am not going to do any endurance events in 2022. And I held to that despite significant peer pressure from basically everyone. But I did a bunch of like bucket list races. So I did High Rocks down in Dallas, which was awesome. I did that as a team, which was a very different event than doing it by yourself or as a 2-person like female team, which I had done previously. And then I did the Horseshoe Bend OCR, which, by the way, next year, 2023, is the last year of the Horseshoe Bend OCR. And if you can make it out there, I highly recommend it. It was just so cool. And it was tough, man. It was really sandy. It was a difficult terrain, and then it just had really, really difficult obstacles. Like I remember the female farmer's carry was like 100 feet at 200 pounds, 230 pounds, something like that. That's a significant, farmer's carry, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, So anyway, the Horseshoe Bend OCR is really cool. You get to see Horseshoe Bend. You're running on Native American land that you typically would have to have a permit or a guide to be on. So that was really cool. I got to go out and do Indian Mud Run, which was basically, I guess, the last year. I don't know. We're going to kind of see what they do with it next year. So that was really cool for me. And I think I placed like 6th in my age group, even though it took me like 5 hours to do that thing. It was pretty brutal. And then I went to World Toughest Mudder as a pit crew. But so my goals for next year in 2023 are I am doing the MR 340, which is something I've done before, which is a 340-mile kayak race from Kansas City to St. Louis. So it's not exactly OCR, but it's definitely endurance. And then I want to go back to World Toughest Mudder, and I haven't really told a lot of people this, but I really want to place in my age group.
Nice.
I paid a lot of attention to the women in my age group this year, and I think I've got a shot.
I like it. It's good.
So I did 50 miles last year, which was the second time I hit 50 miles. And last year, my age group was won by 65 miles. This year, it was won by 65 miles. So if I can just, power walk or jog a little bit faster, I think I could get up there. So we'll see.
You were pacing your dad last time, too.
I was.
So you were not necessarily moving at your max speed.
That is correct. So, and World Toughest Mudder is such an interesting event, especially if you are pacing someone, because maybe someone's going to run faster than you, but they're going to pit longer than you. And people want longer pits at different times.
Yeah.
So I know my dad, who is 64, will be 65 next year, is planning on going back. And he also says he would like to hit 65 miles. So we're going to kind of see what we can do together again, but also, both knowing that we're going to go out there and do what we can do. And if we don't do it together, then that's good too.
Yeah, you made an interesting point about the different pit times and stuff like that. And that was one of the things that made the old team format, the one they no longer have, which is 2 people on course at all times. It's something interesting because you weren't necessarily moving. Running together didn't help all the time because sometimes one would be feeling bad and one would be feeling good and vice versa. So,
yeah, it's a really interesting event. I went as a pit crew this year and I pitted for a bunch of people. And just paying attention to, who pitted when and how long and what. And I watched you and I watched Jenny, and you guys were just like in and out. I mean, other people come in and sit down and just, and then like, you're like shoving like 5 Oreos in your face.
5 chocolate-covered Oreos. That's right.
Yes. Well, I believe that you didn't get the chocolate-covered Oreos at one point, and you were like, "No, those are the wrong ones."
That's right. That did happen. The best. Jamie put a picture on Instagram and is like, "Here's a picture of Evan sitting down for 15 seconds," and I shared it, and I was like, "No, it's actually 15 seconds. Like that's not an exaggeration."
It was 100% accurate, and you have like a handful of red twists, and you just like take off, And Jenny comes in, and she's just pulling, like snackables trash out of I don't even know where, and she's just like dumping trash on the table, and then shoving stuff into her wetsuit. And then off she goes. And that was really inspiring for me to like actually see how elite racers do that race. And if I want to be on the podium, like I gotta just keep moving.
Yep.
So, that's I've had a goal. The first year I did World's Toughest was just to do 24 hours, and I did it. And my second year was to do 50 miles, and I did it. And this year I'd like to see, if I can kind of place near the top of my age group. So I'll be 42. And, I have to do it this year because next year Jenny will be in my age group. So,
well, if she's on the podium, she gets taken out of the age group. So
this is true. So, and I don't see her, and unless something really goes terribly wrong, I don't see her not being on the podium. So yeah, those are my big goals for 2022: MR 340 and then World's Toughest Mudder. So go big or go home, I suppose. I'm going to hit some of those small races. Mythic is awesome. I really want to get out for that, and just anything else that I can get to. But those are my big goals.
KCOCR plan on doing some of their little events, local events too?
We've got the Winter Throwdown, January 15th. So that's a free race that anyone is welcome to come out to. So I think we had 45 people last year, which was pretty cool. Someone contacted me the other day and said, I got about 20 people that want to come. Is that okay? And I was like, yeah, that would be amazing. So we'll see, what we get for that.
That's early. It's earlier than you usually do it, isn't it?
Well, the thing is we always try to do January, and then we never quite get around to planning it in time.
All right. If you need to push it to the right, I won't be upset. I might be in Kuwait for Hannibal race that weekend. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
We'll see.
Okay. So, we don't want to compete with the Timber Challenge Yeti.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
which is at the end of the month for anyone looking for a fun winter event. It's also same weekend as Abominable Snow Race, which is up north if you're by Wisconsin. So closer to Kansas City, head to Casey Timber. Closer to Wisconsin, head to Wisconsin.
Okay. So that's the same weekend as Timber Challenge?
Yep.
So, and there was one time that we had to move the throwdown because it just was, it was icy. It was like 15 degrees. It was not safe. So there's, potential depending on the weather that we'd move it to February. But for now, it's January 15th.
Gotcha. And February's got Valentine's Day Massacre if they do it again this year. So don't do that weekend.
Okay. Fine.
All right, we're going to kind of start closing it up. I think, you've heard a lot of people. So all these people on the call are all in strength and speed. They're all in that private Facebook group I was telling you about at the beginning of the podcast. So if anyone wants to join the Cool Kids Club, again, make sure you apply. The application you can fill out online. You see it on the teamstrengthspeed.com website. And if you head over to like the article section, essentially it's currently the top article, and it probably will be because I don't think I'm going to write another article before then. Or you can scroll through our Facebook place, or you can shoot us a message, like literally any one of us on this call, and we'll send you the link. So I wanted to go back around to kind of touch base with everyone, give any people a chance to do any sort of final shout outs or anything else they wanted to share. So start off with Ryan.
Yeah, I was going to mention, I think Phil mentioned doing the 40 on 40 this year. So that was one of the things I did do last year on my 40th. That was a fun time. Did it back in March when I turned 40, running laps around Manassas battlefield. So that was a cool milestone. And also, you guys are talking KCOCR. I met a bunch of that crew out at the Indiana toughest. I don't remember names, but yeah, everyone I met was awesome. I was there on my own. And you guys, I asked if I wanted to pit with you guys, and I had my setup there. But but you guys are great, meeting everyone there. And yeah, thanks for letting me join the Cool Kid Club here this year, Evan.
Yeah,
appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you at the races next year, and meeting the rest of you.
My intent was with this kind of thing was to do a follow-up podcast at the end, like in a year from now, and see if we actually followed through on the stuff we said on this podcast. But I feel like I'm going to forget because I feel like I've done this before and they made that promise and then didn't follow through. So if someone reminds me, maybe I'll follow through at the end of 2023. No, but yeah, we'll still Strength Speed. We're going to keep doing kind of 2 podcasts a month and keep producing content for you guys. So let's jump over to Phil.
Yep. Yeah. It's kind of said most of it. One thing I'll bring back. Ohio used to be the hotbed for OCR. I mean, we had Mud Guts and Glory, we had Indian Mud Run, Mud Ninja, Black Swamp Runner, half a dozen other things. And at this point, quite a few of them have closed down, but Oryx is still going strong. And I've been helping those guys build that course and build that race for a couple of years, and they were able to secure the weekend that was vacated by Indian Mud Run, and those are some big shoes to fill. That was always a beloved race for sure. So I'm going to be out there some this spring helping those guys get stuff ready, and that's going to be another great weekend. And then just getting some time on my feet because I want to get my 40 on 40, and I want to put up a really good personal showing come September at Toughest Mudder for sure.
Nice. Yeah, so in my book, Mud Run Guide's Ultimate OCR Bucket List, I mentioned the Ohio Grand Slam, and I don't think there's anyone. Is there even anyone left from the original Ohio Grand Slam? Because Black Diamond closed. Black Swamp One, I think, is being run by Phoenix OCR now, isn't it? So like they're
they took over that around. One.
But a lot. Indian Mud Run's gone, so yeah. Support your local brands if you want the brands to continue to stick around. Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, AC, what do you got?
I'll definitely second the comment that KCOCR is great. A great bunch of people. They adopted me onto the team, and I've never even lived in Kansas. So, love the KCOCR group. I'll also give another shout out to Mythic Race. I had a blast at that race last year. The obstacles are really original. Bill Shell does a good job coming up with just unique stuff that makes the race, and the course is real good too. So definitely get out there and support that one if you can. I'll always give a shout out to Conquer the Gauntlet. They may have one event on Labor Day weekend, but it's always worth going to.
Absolutely.
And running. Another one is, if you're into ultra running or just running for the fun of running, Leaky Hourglass Ultra is, I think it's the last weekend in August. It's the weekend before Conquer the Gauntlet, if I remember right. They're outside of Springfield, Missouri. It's that last man standing ultra race that Gary Shaw puts on. So well done course. So get out there and run on that one if you can. shout out to Mud Gear, to Brute Force Sandbags, and shout out to Grip Fitness and my 3 Amigo buddies.
Nice. Yeah, and if you want more information on Leaky Hourglass Ultra or Mythic Race, we did a joint podcast with them. I don't know, it was like a couple months ago. But Gary Shaw and William Shaw, you can listen to both of their comments. All right, Jamie, any other closing thoughts?
I love all the love for KCOCR. Obviously, KCOCR has my heart. I've been a part of that group from the start. So that's just Kansas City obstacle course racers. And I love that, we do have this group of, like AC, you don't live here, Brenna doesn't live here. But we just kind of adopt people and bring them into the group. So I love KCOCR. So that's about it. That's all I got.
Nice. I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast I don't like New Year's resolutions. And the reason I don't like New Year's resolutions is because, like, if you want to make a change, like, just go make the change. Don't wait another 3 weeks. Like, just start working towards your goal now. Because at the end of the day, like, goals are about consistency over time. And an extra 3 weeks is going to be helpful, right? And if it's important enough that you're going to say you're going to do it and you're going to make the change, like, don't wait to an arbitrary date on the calendar, January 1st. Like, just start making a change. I wrote an article about why I think New Year's resolutions are dumb, like way back when I first started Strength and Speed in like 2000, I don't know, early 2014, 13. I don't know when it was. It's on if you scroll back to the Strength and Speed articles archives, you can find it. Or if you just probably Google New Year's resolutions and Strength and Speed, it'll probably come up, and then you can check it out. So Ryan just shoot me a text. He wants to know what my goals are. I usually don't tell my goals publicly. I always have a running list, so I've been chipping away at several big goals for a while, right? Like, so my big goal last year was to finish my 7th charity event, my 7th Ultra OCR charity event, which is supposed to be the final one, and it was for Ultra OCR. So I've been working towards that goal, and I'd had those plans in mind for probably 4 or 5 years at that point. So I accomplished that. I wanted to get at least 10 more podiums. I got that. I think I got 12 or something in 2022. And I like to kind of, on average, I get about 10 a year. If it's a good year, a little bit more. If it's a bad year, a little bit less. So I've been kind of slowly chipping away at a big goal. I'm at 80 podiums. So I think you can guess what that long-term goal is, right? I would like to hit triple digits at some point, and just matter of being consistent and continue to show up and continue to do the work. And, I'd like to still be able to get some big kind of podiums like Toughest Mudder, in addition to some of the smaller brands that I race, right? So, not a podium at a small brand, may be less impressive than an age group podium at a big brand or a major race. So, I just want to, I still want some big goals on there, but some big races on there. But I have no problem, adding a couple of the smaller ones in there to boost my numbers a little bit. People are always like, "Oh, well, you got 100 miles at World's Toughest Mudder. That's always got to be a goal." And yeah, that is always a goal. And I always try to hit it. Always come up short. I keep getting 90. And I've tried going out fast. I've tried going out slow. I've tried doing a mix of walking and running. And I think 2019, if I would have paced a little better, maybe I could have gotten 2021. If I wasn't sick beforehand, I maybe could have gotten it, because I honestly felt like garbage going into that World's Toughest. And the fact that I finished with 90 miles was, frankly, in my opinion, it's almost a miracle, because my heart rate was just not, it was spiking in those final couple of weeks when I was supposed to be tapering. It was like spiking on like easy runs, and I was like, what is going on? So I don't know if that was like a COVID reaction or something. I have no idea. But so continue to chip out my my podium goals. And to me, it's just about, I've been involved in the sport since 2014 regularly. It's just kind of continue to build my overall OCR resume. I think you're kind of, the legacy you leave in the sport is a combination of results, work, and then multiplied by time, right? So if you have an absolutely great year and win every race, that's great. But if you're not around for multiple years, then to me, you're not quite leaving the lasting legacy. And I would like to leave, I'd say I've got 2 more years of racing at the quantity I race now, which I race a lot every year. I got 2 more years racing at that quantity. And then I'm planning on kind of scaling back a little bit, and I'll still race, but it won't be quite as much. So I won't be quote unquote retired, but it will be a drastic reduction. I plan on kind of drastically reducing in 2025. So I always think in terms of long-term goals. So I typically look at multiple years at a time and not just 1 year. And then I've got a bunch of martial arts goals related to some of the other training I've been doing. So it's a fine balance between OCR, work, martial arts, my family, and it becomes quite a juggling act. And sometimes my wife's not super happy about it, but that's kind of what makes me who I am. And yeah, so quick rundown. I applied for Ninja Warrior again for the 3rd time. We'll see if I get picked. And yeah, that's kind of it. How did that go, Ryan? Any follow-up questions? You good?
That was good, man.
Satisfy the curiosity. So
I figured that 100-mile goal at Worlds is the big one for you.
Yeah, I think people, I almost feel bad. Like, I feel like people want it more than I do sometimes, because people are always like, Evan, this is your year. And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying. Like, I put in the work, and then I miss, and they're like, oh, you missed it. It was so close. And I'm like, all right, like, I'm happy with 90. It's fine. But I feel bad. Like, I feel like people are putting their expectations, and like I feel like people want me to get it so bad, and so I feel like I'm disappointing people sometimes if I miss it. And I'd rather hit 90, a whole bunch of times than hitting 100 once and then not doing well at any other World's Toughest, right? Like, personally, I find a lot of personal satisfaction and pride in consistent high-level performances, whether I'm sick, whether the weather's bad, whether the weather's good, whether I've had a great year, whether I've had an off year. I find a lot of personal satisfaction that I've hit 90 miles 4 times, been in the top 10 4 times, and I was in the age group podium for those 4 times, in addition to the 2 team overall podiums, 1st and 2nd for those. So yeah, I find the consistency is my and maybe that's what my strong point is, but that's what I kind of take pride in. So yeah,
Well,
go for it.
World's Toughest Mudder is such a different race every single year based on so many variables. So if you can consistently hit, high mileage like that, that's impressive.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, to me, I'm always blown away by Trevor Psychos, because this was if anyone's not tracking, this was the first year he was not on the podium since 2014. So 2014 to 2021, he was on the podium. And his average, this is even more insane. His average, if you take every World Toughest he's done, his average is 100 miles. Average. So that's just
insane.
Isn't it insane? And he just shows up. He's like, hey, yeah, what's going on? He's like super chill. I always talk to him before the race. I was wishing him luck, and I always want him to do the best. And it was like, this year he came in 4th, first year not on the podium, and I was like, oh man. So
leave something for us mortals, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I walked part of that last lap with him, and yeah, it was great getting to meet him and talking to him, and yeah, then hearing how much he actually trains or doesn't train. But
yeah, supposedly he doesn't train that much. I don't buy it. But there is like a thing with the more you train, the more volume you've got into you, the less you need to train for a specific event, right? So like your body, like I was talking about all those physiological adaptations, the body builds that stuff, and some of that stuff doesn't go away immediately, right? Like it takes a very long time for it to go away. So even if you just do a short buildup, your body will still perform at a fairly high level. So from a personal experience, my example, OCR America 2, I did like 3 weeks of running to prep for that. So like I finished World's Toughest, was a complete mess, took basically a month off, realized I was going to do World's Toughest. I realized I was going to do OCR America 2, 8 days, 8 venues, 8 OCR marathons. And I basically worked out for 2 weeks, ran, and then I tapered for 2 weeks and showed up. And it went honestly better than it did in 2016, even though the conditions were worse and the mileage was more and the obstacles were harder. So, yeah. All right. Head over to Strength and Speed, teamstrengthspeed.com. Apply for a Strength Speed development team. Pick up some books, some stocking stuffers. I got some deals going for Blegmit Lights. As Jamie mentioned, they're great for winter running. And you can pick up Blegmit Lights and books, and it saves you, I don't know, the books are become like a fraction of the cost if you buy books and Blegmit Lights at the same time. So check those out. Thanks, everyone, for coming on. And we will see you. Actually, we got one more podcast after this that'll come out, and then we'll see all of you in 2023 and start working towards those goals now. All right. We'll catch all you later.
Later.
Thanks, Evan.